Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Good evening and welcome to Plank of the Week. I'm Mike Graham and this, of course, is Talk. It's the one place where you can come for absolute and utter judgmental stuff because you don't have to judge anybody. We do it for you. I've got a fantastic panel here. Of course, Jeremy Carter's here.
She's a lady.
She's a lady. Russell Quirk is here. Steve N. Allen is here. And Maddie Hale.
Hello.
Welcome.
She's a lady.
Every time I come on the show, it's just men.
Why don't you kick us off first?
Justin Welby. 132 boys, physical, emotional and sexual abuse whose lives have been blighted in England and in Africa. It turns out that Welby found out in 2013, maybe even earlier, because he was in fact at these summer camps in a role as a supervisor, it turns out, kept stum. So for all the pontificating, Michael, and for all the, I think the Tories are evil and I think Brexit is disgusting and I think slavery was awful, this vile human being, whilst poncing around in a robe with a stick in his hand, knew that this guy was doing what he was doing. If he'd spoken up, the guy would have been prosecuted earlier before he died. These kids would have presumably not have suffered as much. And he hung on.
Right.
He's an absolute disgrace. Just very quickly, I don't think he should be allowed to sit in the House of Lords. And I've said it already today, I think he should be prosecuted. He certainly should be questioned by the police. I think it's disgusting.
Certain prominent politicians, Lee Anderson included, have called for him to be imprisoned on the basis that he is effectively a paedophile enabler.
I don't know what the word is. I said aiding and abetting earlier and I got told...
Does that make you liable?
Well, I got told aiding and abetting is too much, but he was... what's the word?
Complicit was the word.
Yes.
But how was he not enabled? The fact that most of those instances happened after 2013 when Smith, whatever his name is, went to Africa. So it is without doubt, I think, that the fact that he didn't speak up and do something about it and follow it through, he has allowed more kids to be abused.
And I had an extraordinary moment on the show this week. I was telling Mike earlier, Richard Tice came in his regular slot, and it turns out he'd been phoned by the Mail that morning. And it turns out that Richard, aged 10, 50 years ago, went to this summer camp. He doesn't have any recollection about it, but he'd been reminded of it and he checked and that was the case. Let's just remember that Welby, when you pass judgment so readily and your own house is in such disorder, then ultimately you have to pay the price.
And also there will be other people within the Archbishop of Canterbury's office, shall we say, and within the clergy, who would have also known more about it.
No, I get that, but they haven't been front and centre telling the rest of us that we're crap.
No, but nevertheless, what I'm saying is the investigation should continue.
Absolutely.
Into also who knew what and when did they know it. And
we know what happened to the Catholic Church, and it looks to me as if the Church of England is no better at this particular moment.
But surely you have a greater responsibility if you're a person of responsibility and authority.
Well, you're supposed to be a leader, aren't you? Let's have a look at what my Lord Welby had to say about COVID.
I do know some of the scientists who are doing this. They're not evil people. This is not a conspiracy. Goodness knows. I mean, I have enough trouble organising a conspiracy in the Church of England. We don't even succeed then.
Turns out he did, didn't he?
Turns out
he was the architect of it.
He was hiding in plain sight there. But this is the thing. He starts to... I love people like this, right? Particularly from the left, who say... Do you know, I'm not a scientist, but I know one, and this is what he says.
Yeah,
and you're going, what, that's your argument, is it?
Yeah.
Therefore, everybody should get vaccinated by something which might harm them.
If we're going to go the full way, because I hope everything happens to him. Sorry, I think it's disgraceful as a father. I'm sure people who have kids here would agree. And then you get the usual. What words are you allowed to use on this show?
Any word you like. Yeah, you can say.
Rory Stewart and Alistair Campbell tweeted he's a really nice
person.
Rory Stewart.
What?
He enabled kids to be abused.
I'm glad you said that because we've got a Rory Stewart
he's an idiot.
Tweet, I think, to show you. There we are. Very sorry to hear of the resignation of the Archbishop of Canterbury. I have worked with him for a long time and have always been struck by his humility, openness, care and sense of public service.
What, care to 132 kids?
Openness and care are literally the opposite of what he is.
I tweeted on top of that this week that that's the second surprise that he's had this week because the first one was Donald Trump winning, which he predicted would not happen, right? Also, by the way, just not to make this a personal issue, but I've been tweeted at by Alistair Campbell this very week.
You horrible man, Michael.
Alistair, I know, isn't it dreadful?
Yeah.
Alistair Campbell, who seems to think that he's worried that myself and Isabel Oakeshott are going to take some jobs in the government. He says, if we go down this route, we are a few years from Isabel Oakeshott being Chancellor and Mike Graham being Defence Secretary. Unfortunately for him, he also tagged the wrong Mike Graham. So there's some poor
that's
guy
embarrassing.
who's now getting absolutely
I think
flamed.
I'd vote for that. I think I'd vote for you as defence.
Well, funnily enough...
We'd have a bloody army if
funnily
you were
enough,
the
the
defence
tweet has
secretary.
actually backfired at him because quite a lot of people underneath it going, actually, that sounds like quite
right.
a good idea.
Better than the current one. John
If
Heatley.
you're trying to give people jobs in the government, Justin Welby might want to be in charge of immigration because he's pretty good at sending sex offenders to foreign countries.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad idea, is it?
It's
But
not a bad
also, I
idea.
think there's something interesting here. It's the week Lineker's resigned. I think Lineker might well be the Archbishop of Canterbury, and Justin Welby might do match of the
It's
day.
as if you knew exactly what we're about to do.
Sorry, mate.
Sorry. You know what he is? He's the Archbishop of Wokery.
Yes.
That's what he's going to
Yeah,
do.
on a serious note about Welby, though, when you pass judgment, when you pontificate, certainly from a position like that, you know, somebody sent me a text yesterday it was saying enabling, but it said, that's not godly. That's evil. Let's get this nailed. Justin Welby's actions are evil. And can you imagine, Michael, anybody else having done this and what Welby would have said? I think he needs to go to prison. Sorry.
Well, I mean,
genuinely do.
let's try him first, shall we? I mean, you know, he didn't go straight to prison, but, you know...
And also, by the way, also about the Trump thing, you know, this defence secretary who's a Fox News anchor at the weekends and has been in Afghan and in Iraq and has fought, right? I mean, at the end of the day, why not?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, bringing Elon Musk in, if you can bring in business people who actually know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
I love these woke people about Trump. Same's going to happen here, mate.
Oh, yeah, you can't have anybody that knows anything about business to make the government more efficient. That's terrible. Russell, over to you, talking about idiots.
Well, yes.
Have you not got any...
I try. I'm trying as hard as I can.
Have you not got any sort of things with you this week?
Any props?
Pies, props? Anything?
No, I haven't actually.
That's unusual, actually.
Disappointing.
I'll let my words do the talking. So, yes, from one incompetent woke merchant to another, Keir Starmer.
Fantastic.
No surprise.
Yeah.
I think he features pretty much every week.
Every
You know,
week.
now, my new
afraid.
impersonation of Starmer, it doesn't actually involve any words at all. It's just...
Well, you know, actually, as an aside...
It sounds just like
As
him.
an aside, I think we should actually do a show where every nomination is Keir Starmer, but for different reasons.
Well, I mean, we normally have at least 5 or 6 members of the cabinet. You know.
Well, let's kick off with this one. Let's kick off with this one. So the reason I'm nominating him is for COP29, which, of course, he attended by private jet, along with Lammy and Ed Miliband, I think. Yeah. And there's a number of reasons that I think he should be nominated for Plank of the Week this week. One is because he was basically the only leader there, pretty much.
Yes.
Biden didn't go, Schultz didn't go, that Ursula woman from the EU didn't go.
Right.
Yes, Macron
Georgia
didn't go.
Maloney didn't go.
But importantly, so you've got the 3 countries that contribute the most in terms of carbon to the planet, China, India, United States. None of them were there.
No.
They didn't give a toss about it. But he went anyway, and not only did he go along, pointless, fruitless, an utter waste of time, but came away saying that, guess what? Britain is now going to cut its emissions by 81%.
Yeah, where did you get 81%?
81%, it's a nice round number.
You could do 75%, you could do 50%. Why do you 81%?
By 2035, right? Which, bearing in mind, we only produce 1% of the planet's carbon. You've got China, India and America, as I say, chugging carbon out left, right, centre. So our 1%, even if we halve it, even if it eradicates altogether, makes no difference to the planet whatsoever. Right. But then he has the audacity to say, but by the way, as a population, as an electorate, I'm not telling you what to do. Well, when we all have to rip out our boilers and stop driving our cars and machinery grinds to a halt.
You can't eat cheese either.
Oh, you can't eat cheese?
No dairy.
That's the worst of them all.
So, again, not reading the room, a pointless endeavour and a pointless proclamation.
Yes. I have to say, we were talking about this earlier, and Mike makes such a great one. Azerbaijan, so the Taliban were there, but the main advocates... the Taliban were there. But what I love...
We're not sure what their policy is on climate change.
If we weren't doing Plank of the Week, but we were doing Hero of the Week, or Heroine, obviously, in a way, it would have to be the president of Azerbaijan, who stood up at the opening of COP Out 29 and said, thank God for oil and gas. Yes. God sent us oil and gas because they live... It's all about oil and gas. I mean, the biggest load of crap you've
But weren't there
seen.
representatives there from Middle Eastern countries actually colluding to do oil deals?
Yeah, there were.
Under the auspices of COP29.
Same thing happened in Dubai. The last COP28 in Dubai, they had the same problem. The Emirati of Dubai, or whatever he is, came out and said exactly the same thing.
As we're all together, we might as well do a deal or two.
We've got loads of oil left. Let's keep using it.
Yeah.
Great.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah, so Keir Starmer not reading the room, yes. And are we mentioning the French trip?
Well, we're going to come to that in a minute. First, have a look at this. This is Keir, I think, in Baku.
So Keir Starmer set the goal out at COP29 in Azerbaijan Azerbaijan, saying that the UK will pledge to reduce emissions by 81% compared with 1990 levels by the year 2035. He said a key part of the process will be Labour's promise to shift away from fossil fuels for electricity generation by 2030.
Looks riveting, that, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's boring.
It looks like one of those conferences you go to that you send pictures from.
That looks like a press conference.
They're riveting, they're great.
That looks like a press conference where somebody's trapped in a vehicle and they're giving you an update.
Yeah. Talking of... you're leading the way here. Talking of being trapped in a vehicle. Check this out, right?
What is happening?
I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on today.
Very
Do
good.
you know the script, Jeff?
This is absolutely incredible. I saw this. I came out of the show that I was doing this week. I think it was on Monday. And I thought, what on earth is he thinking? Because
like
obviously he's trying
vibes.
to reenact the Winston Churchill post-Second World War trip around Paris with Charles de Gaulle, right? The difference being that the war had just happened, right?
Yeah.
There was also thousands of Parisians, lining the streets cheering because Churchill was their hero, because he'd liberated France from the
But it
Germans.
also looks rather like the picture from the 1940s of Hitler and Mussolini
yes.
doing a very similar thing.
And also, I don't advocate Kev O'Sullivan, what he says a lot, but I have to say, he said something to me that was really salient on Monday. What the hell is the British Prime Minister doing in France and not in Great Britain on Armistice Day?
I mean, you can make an
that
argument
is
for him
true.
going there, but even if he went there, what he shouldn't have done was get in a truck with Emmanuel Macron, who is hardly, an iron-fisted sort of leader of a nation, is he? I mean, you wouldn't want him on the battlefront, would you?
No. Couldn't see over the top.
You couldn't see over the top. And they're just standing in that thing. It just looked totally... I wanted it just to stop suddenly and both fall over.
And they both
it's
fell
like
out.
a Pope-mobile. And also, being French, I didn't realise they even had forward gears in their army military equipment. I think they went backwards.
It must be an e-tank.
Where's the white flag?
It must be like an eco-tank. It's electronic, surely, for the love of God.
No, that looks like a guzzler.
It's probably got a range of about 3 yards.
I wouldn't mind. I mean,
Shut up!
Great in wars. If everyone would just wait while we recharge our vehicles before you shoot at
I'm sorry, we're coming at you with our weapons. We're going to be half an hour before we get there. If you'd like to blow us up on the way.
I mean, you'd want one of those. You'd want one of those driving around in London. It'd be quite good fun. But just again,
Maddie said
again, we say this all the time. What on earth are his people thinking?
Online,
Who on earth would say to him, "Here's a good idea. Get in the back"? Because there was nobody out. There was not one person.
It strikes
not
me.
one member of the public
It's like
watching
his
any of that.
advisors are trolling him.
No, I'll tell you what's really interesting. People were moaning this week, quite rightly, that he spent, out of the last 33 days, 22 abroad.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's creating a picture book of the number of
I'd like him to
countries he's
spend
been
more.
to.
I'd like to spend more time abroad. I'd rather he didn't come back at all. Just keep going round.
What's the alternative, though?
Well, then we can
Angela?
Well, Angie, yeah, at least she makes you laugh, doesn't she?
I'd love to.
Angela Rayner.
Yeah, let me tell you, I bought
Tory
my council
scum.
house, but you can't, you buggers.
Tory scum.
But guzzler, what does a guzzler mean?
Just means it guzzles gas.
Yeah, it's a gas guzzler.
God.
Yeah, they can
What do
call
you
it
think
that.
she meant, Joe?
I have no idea at all. I don't want to be drawn on that.
Well, we'll move on to that later. He's very good today. He's looking ahead
Yeah,
with some incredible kind of insights
had a lot of
to how
time
the
at
show's going.
home.
Right, Steve N. Allen, you've got a midget for us.
Yes, the actual nomination will be Green King.
Right.
They own this pub.
Oh, they're a bit woke, aren't they? They're a beer company who are very woke.
They are, because what they've done
Yeah.
with this pub. So there's a pub called the Midget in Abingdon in Oxfordshire, and it's had its name changed because it's offensive. Because there's been one person who's campaigned against it. There's one person who's campaigned, so now it's had to change.
It's a very small pub, is it?
Even though it's like a little chef. It's that kind of deal.
A little chef.
Very good.
Hey!
But it's the reason they've had to change the name,
Have a
right?
small
is
glass
because
of
it's,
sherry.
Apparently, it's disablist hate speech.
Is it?
Right? Well, the thing is, it's not named after whatever you think is offensive.
Right.
It's named after the car, the MG Magic Midget.
The MG Midget,
It's got
yeah.
magic in it.
My
That's
mother
a-
used to have one of those.
It's more able than anything else. It's got the word magic in it,
Yeah.
but they've had to change it, even though that's where the car was built. So
I got in it once to drive
representing-
in and I couldn't get out. I literally had to roll out onto the floor. It was appalling. Anyway, carry on.
Probably like the pub, it's actually only about that big.
But so
My dad used to call it the ashtray on four wheels.
I would love to see that.
so it's not
I don't
named
know
after
why.
anything
Anyway.
that's offensive. And the argument should be that it's named after something that's it's heritage to that
Yeah.
area. Why change its name? I realise that argument only takes you so far. It's not like Green King could
Have they
open
changed the name to the dwarf by any chance?
No, because even though that would be your technical phrase, but
Yeah.
that would feel more offensive, wouldn't it? But you couldn't use the same argument like we're opening a pub called the N-word because we're naming it after that dog from Dam Busters. But in this case, I think it makes...
Has no one done that? Why not?
Well,
I don't know.
can tell
Do
you
you know,
why
in
not.
Wivenhoe in Essex, there is still a pub called the Black Boy. I
Yes.
suspect they'll have to change
Yeah,
that.
they will.
Yeah.
They will. There's a
Well,
few of those actually around. I've
Well,
got a
it's
better one than
BUOY.
that. I've got a better one than that in a minute.
Because you have to be careful about sending a message saying, what are you doing on Friday? Oh, I'm going out with the Black Boy. You don't want phrases like
Going
that.
to the Midget.
Yeah, exactly. But they've now renamed it. It's now called the Roaring Rainbow, which obviously...
What?
It's
Oh,
offensive.
wow.
The roaring rainbow.
It'll be
What does that
offensive to
mean?
anyone from the
Oh my
LGBTQIA
God.
plus community.
Has it got a
Right?
rainbow
Or
flag
it's in
outside?
solidarity with
Well,
them.
to be fair,
Proper woke.
it's named after a car as well. It's another MG car.
Really?
So they're just.
I've never heard of an
Or
MG
the
rainbow.
Ferrari.
It's the.
The
I didn't
MG
write down the
rainbow.
letters.
MG rainbow. Right.
I've never heard of these cars.
But I mean, here's the thing. Apparently, the reason this is all happening is because one person complained.
Yep.
A disability lecturer, I'm told.
Yes.
What is one of those?
I guess it's someone who lectures on disability, and one would
Well
say.
done.
Yeah.
Well
Thanks.
done there.
I was
What
hoping-
is that, Kate?
I was hoping
What is
for a bit more of an
question, yeah.
insight.
Don't they all kind of lecture? Would be the point you
Yeah.
could make if you have a
But
conversation
what
with
do you
anyone. it could be
lecture about disability? What does that even mean? Lecture
Yeah.
what?
It's from
What,
Liverpool.
and what's the
Hope
betting? They're
University.
no more than 5
Liverpool
foot 5
Hope
tall,
University.
Which is an oxymoron as well. Have you been
Yeah.
to certain areas of Liverpool?
I think we best move on.
To the guzzler.
To the guzzler. Maddie Hale, what have you got for us?
I'm nominating Jamal Simmons, who's VP Harris's former comms director. He was on CNN the other day and he basically said Joe Biden should resign in the next 30 days in this transitional, move to Trump's next presidency because it would be good for, whoever becomes the actual first female president.
So she could be the first female
So
president
this
for like
person
2
could
weeks.
trial it out for a month or so, and then it's less intimidating for.
So was he on holiday on November the 5th when there was a massive election in America that decided...
Right.
Also,
I'll tell you-
fit for
why would
purpose?
you call for the president to step down?
I would have thought that he would have been better spent looking at what a pathetic, useless and unimaginative campaign that he was in charge of that was wholly rejected by the American public.
Well, have a look. We've got a clip here.
Oh, we have a midget?
Yeah.
Joe Biden's been a phenomenal president. He's lived up to so many of the promises he's made. There's one promise left that he could fulfill, being a transitional figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
Whoa.
It would absolve her
Wow.
from being able to from having to oversee the January 6th transition, right, of her own defeat. This is the moment for us to change the entire perspective.
If he wants Joe Biden to be a transitional figure, go the whole hog and actually transition in the same way that you are doing for this hour.
Yeah.
He could be the first female president.
Josephine Biden.
Josephine, yeah.
He
I'm
wouldn't
not-
say that.
you wouldn't even have to tell him because he wouldn't know.
He wouldn't know anyway.
Doesn't that make you realise how they completely and
Lied.
utterly called it wrong with the
Yes.
American people? I was going on about this. I've been going on for a week, and I make no apologies. Wouldn't it be great if in the United Kingdom, everyday working men and women who never break the law, they go to work, they pay their taxes, and they feel like they're seventh on the rung, on the ladder, because everybody else, migrants and everybody else is in front of them, the unemployed, the feckless, all that. If politicians like Kamala Harris and Starmer and people like don't really understand...
learnt nothing.
Because I think it'll happen here. In the long run, people will just silently vote and there's going to be a seismic moment. I don't have to like everything about Trump, but I was you told me before I went to bed.
Yeah.
He said it's going to be a landslide. I was awake before and I went, Jesus.
That's a good
Brilliant.
call from you, Mike. I would
Yeah.
never
But we
expected it to be
He
a
did.
landslide.
He called it.
Yeah,
he
I
called
did.
it.
Do you know why?
Go on.
Do you know why that annoys me from Jamal Simmons? Is because obviously, don't say on air, this is good for women.
Yeah.
No, we'll get there.
Right.
Like, shut
Get
up.
elected.
No one wanted to
Yeah,
elect
get
her
elected.
because she
But
was
do
a
it-
woman.
do it
People
properly.
may have liked her or they may have not.
Yeah.
You don't need to put gender into this. It takes away the whole, fight for equality.
Let's just make a woman
It's just
president
so
for 2
annoying.
weeks. Make her feel better.
But we do have similar characters here, of course. So your mate Alistair Campbell, Rory Stewart, have effectively been tweeting over the last week or so saying the electorate in America got it wrong.
They got it wrong.
They're
yeah.
wrong,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but these are the
right,
people
and
that
that's
would
the
say
problem.
that Brexit's wrong,
Yeah.
despite the fact that 52% of this country, they
Yes.
can't.
Yeah.
These people will not accept, even when there's a majority vote by educated people in a democratic way. Oh, it's wrong.
I also think that's a really bad look on the Democratic Party to have someone from VP Harris's comms team come out and basically say he should step down the next 30 days. What? So are you admitting that you literally lied for 2 years after the midterms when you...
I think the one thing
exactly.
I said to Mike, I couldn't, and obviously Trump called it right, because everybody talked about the economy, but I couldn't believe that not more was made in that presidential campaign about you, Harris, and your cohorts are part of a cover-up to the American people why a man who cognitively wasn't up to the job was kept in the White House for however long.
I
He would
agree.
never fronted out on that.
Absolutely. Listen, we've got to move on.
Spoken about.
We've got lots more to do. Coming up, we're going to be talking about Remembrance Sunday and poppies. Also, the BBC making an appearance once again. And maybe Sadiq Khan, that nice man that runs London. Welcome back to Plank of the Week. We've got a very, very substantial start going on already, I think. There's already several possibilities there that might win it. I'm going to go back to an old favourite, Mr Sadiq Khan, who is, of course, the Mayor of London. Apparently, I know you found this out the other day, he's allowed to run for another term.
No.
Apparently he is, yeah. I didn't think he could. I thought that was it.
So 4 terms
That would be 4 terms of hell.
Yeah.
We found out only this week, right, that something we thought he was going to do, he was secretly planning to bring in pay per mile charging at £2 a mile for people driving in London. This is on top, by the way, of the congestion charge, on top of the ULEZ charge, on top of the super ULEZ zone. You'd also have to pay, and not only that, but he spent like 150 million quid already working out all sorts of different, equipment that he's going to need to buy. And it was called, bizarrely, Operation Gladys.
What?
I mean,
it was called Project Gladys, is it?
Gladys.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, very odd name.
He's a can I say it again? He's another.
He is.
Yeah.
He really is.
At £2 per mile, though, the average speed you do in London, that is the most value for money. £2.
£2 an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they worked out that if you were coming in from East London, somewhere like Upminster, which for people who don't know where that is, it's sort of on the outskirts of
Metropolitan Essex.
Metropolitan Essex. Yes, I've never heard that before. I like that. You can tell he's in property, can't you?
Yeah.
Metropolitan Essex.
Metropolitan Essex.
Anyway, so go from there into the centre of London, say Oxford Street, park your car, which would be another 40 quid, would be 40 quid. £40.
That is
one trip.
It's all about money. Is it about morals with Sadiq Khan? No, it's about taxing people. That's what it's about.
So expensive.
Yeah.
Like,
it is
so expensive.
And he wouldn't mind if it was expensive and you got places and you got things that you wanted, but it's actually not very well run. It's pretty dangerous now. You're more than likely to get something stolen if you live here long enough, whether it's your phone or your handbag or your watch.
But he's been challenged many times about this paper mile thing.
And he's always denied it.
He's always denied it. Effectively lied.
He has.
Call it.
Well, of course.
Why was it during the mayoral elections that genuinely that nobody good enough could take this man on? Because there are 12 million people in London, is that right? And only 1 million voted for him. Why the hell didn't
a lot of people don't bother. Well, because a lot of people don't bother voting, right?
But they want him out. You'd only have to mobilise the taxi population. You could beat him.
I know.
Why don't you stand?
Well,
because they live in Essex.
Well, the point is as well that basically the Tories put up a pretty bad candidate, and they
that Sean Bailey?
No, that was the last time. This was Susan Hall.
No, neither of them.
Susan Hall didn't even come. I used to have Susan Hall on my show quite a lot.
Did you?
When she started running for mayor, she never appeared on it.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you think you're doing? Why are you?
But they reckon it could be James Cleverly next. You heard it here first.
Yes, I have heard that name.
He might be the next contender.
He's got a house in Essex as well.
He has. Braintree.
Everything
good in the world happens in Essex.
I've got a joke about
everything
Essex,
bad
but
also
I don't think
happens
I can do it because I'll be fired.
Is it the one about the ears?
What?
No.
Oh no!
Don't say it.
Is it the shopping trolley one?
No.
No, it's the bus shelters. Can I not do it?
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't. No.
All right, okay.
Anyway,
tell us after.
the second reason that he's been put in plank of the week this week.
We are in trouble if Mike says no. I wouldn't.
So there's a secondary thing going on, right? In addition to wanting to charge people who live in London more money to get around it, right? Guess what they also want to do in the mayoral's London Assembly? They want to give free travel to
terrorists.
Asylum seekers.
Migrants.
I'm
seekers.
literally going to go and headbutt the wall in a minute.
Asylum seekers will, because this is the reasoning, right?
Yeah.
And everybody in the London Assembly, including the Tories, apart from one man, voted for this, and they want Sadiq Khan to recommend it. They say that some of them are struggling to get to their appointments because they haven't got enough money to use the public transport system.
Even though they've all got iPhone 16.
Even though they've already got an allowance for non-food items that they can spend.
Yeah.
They've got another allowance for food. They've got free accommodation.
We don't get a private GP to go round to their paid-for accommodation.
Well, that'll be the next thing.
Give them ideas, Jeremy.
This will be the next thing. So there's a guy called Alex Wilson. I had him on my show this week. He's the Reform. He's the only, I think, Reform member of the London Assembly. Here's what he had to say.
British taxpayers will reach a limit when they feel they're being taken advantage of. We saw on Tuesday in America what happens when people have had enough of their generosity being taken for granted. I know I'm alone present in this chamber, but I'm sure if we carry on like this, in 4 years' time, I won't be.
You know what?
That's what you've been saying all along, isn't it? I mean,
what's crazy about
he's the guy talking people's language.
Yes, but he's the sole representative of the London Assembly that's speaking up on behalf of, what do you reckon, 65, 70% of the country that think this is a stupid thing to do?
But that's the other thing. And we talked about this when we started here, wasn't it? This London-centric bubble does my bleeding head in. I mean, the Labour Party's belief that the working man and woman north of Watford Gap would vote for them forever has gone out the window. Yeah. You can win power in this country without bleeding London. Sadiq Khan, honestly, go out and and discover what people like. We talked about it. Middle America voted for Donald Trump. What did I see? It's that bloody woman on The View dressed in black going, white women have let us down.
But what hope is there for a kind of regeneration, a recycling of the Conservative Party when all of the Conservatives on the Assembly abstained?
There's two hopes for that.
They didn't vote against
No,
it.
Open Bob Open.
There you go. I just knock them up.
This demonstrates it.
It is.
I don't think
right.
the Conservatives should start listening. I would say this to Reform. I think there's a vacuum of normal people who want somebody to stand up like Trump, right, and go, this is my belief. Vote for me or don't. But if you do, I will take the flak. I'll make mistakes. I'll get things right. It's going to be a journey. But you know what? This is what it needs. And if you don't want me, fine. If you do, come on the ride. We don't have anybody like that. We don't have a conviction politician since Thatcher. Even Blair, to a degree, didn't agree with him. Somebody just goes, there's my blueprint. That's what I think.
But there will be.
There is one.
Who?
Nigel Farage.
Is he strong enough?
Yeah, I think he is.
I think he will be. Steve?
I was just going to say on Sadiq Khan, the reason I know that it's all about money is there was a story a couple of weeks ago where they were confiscating cars of people who hadn't paid the ULEZ fines and selling them on, which now means Sadiq Khan is effectively in the business of selling on second-hand cars that are not ULEZ compliant. Which means if you buy one of these cars, you've got to pay the ULEZ fee. If you don't, you'll get a fine. They'll confiscate your car and sell it on again. It's the perfect pyramid scheme.
You're effectively saying Sadiq Khan is no better than a used car dealer.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't buy a car.
Rodney Trotter.
Yeah, absolutely right. He's probably got a place in Essex as well.
Sadiq Daly.
Sadiq Daly, there you go. Jeremy, over to you, because you might remember it was Remembrance Sunday on Sunday.
Now,
first of all, a few stories. Nigel Farage was very upset.
I know this. Nigel Farage was banned. He was upset. He wasn't
told
allowed
he couldn't go
to go to the cenotaph. They made I read something that said in the House of Commons, if you've got 5 MPs, you are included in the speech process. But somebody in the establishment decided that because Nigel Farage, presumably they don't like reform, you need 6 MPs to be able to stand at the cenotaph.
And you know very well what's going to happen. If they get 6 MPs next year, they'll make it 7.
Yeah.
There was also
you haven't got 7 MPs.
There was also a youth movement, wasn't there, against
Youth Demand, they're called.
Youth Demand. Yeah. For me, I actually don't laugh. This is a genuinely true fact. My mother was born on Armistice Day. She's no longer with us. So the 11th of November, look at them. Have a wash. Jesus, they do my head in. Look at them.
Have a wash?
Yeah. No, but do you know what I want to say to these people, Mads, in a really serious way?
What are they actually
do you
complaining
understand what the people who fought for our freedom, right? Respect. Always criticise the past. Respect what people did. And Remembrance is about Remembrance Sunday.
People who died. Right.
That placard saying never again for anyone is effectively saying let Germany have Poland.
Yeah.
It's go and off. Do whatever you want then.
Right.
We won't step in for any reason.
They don't know what they're talking about. And like so many activists, Just Stop Oil, Youths Against Remembrance, whatever, they jump on something. And if Palestine, you feel like going, what do you know about the world?
Going back to the Farage point, the DUP laid a wreath at the cenotaph. Guess how many MPs they've got?
Less than 5.
Did the woman from Sinn Féin?
They got 5.
And they were allowed
in. And they were allowed to lay.
Interestingly enough, there was a lot of conversations around this whole thing because it turns out that the Plaid Cymru and the SNP have a special arrangement as well.
Yeah, a joint
so that they don't both go at the same time.
Yeah.
One year it's the SNP,
but going
one year
back,
it's Plaid Cymru. There's plenty of ways around it.
But going back to what we've been saying as a sort of theme through the show, do you not think that 4 million people who voted Reform and millions more who are looking for the correct leadership in this country are going to go, that's just the establishment on the left again. It's just wrong.
Yeah. What would be wrong with letting Nigel Farage lay a wreath? I mean, let's have a look at Stephen Flynn. This is a bit. I don't think we've got sound on it, but they were singing the national anthem, basically, and he didn't sing it. So he's standing there representing a country inside of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and he kept his mouth firmly closed and refused to sing the words of the national anthem.
But how dare he make what effectively is a political point on a day at a time?
Effectively, he might as well have shouted, "Not my king."
Yeah.
You know, absolutely.
Which is what he believes.
It is appalling, and we're all not as old, we're as older than you lot, but I do think that this generation, when they're going on about all the things that seem so important, need reminding repeatedly on stations like this. I'm not going to apologise for everything in the past. You wouldn't bloody well be here. There's a lot that was
You wouldn't
great
be protesting
about the
either
past.
if the Germans had won. Let's have a look at Youth Demand in action, though. This is
I love Youth Demand in action.
Demand. We want some more cake. This is them at the cenotaph.
We cannot sit here on Remembrance Day without demanding that the UK government stop arming Israel. Yes. You don't get to choose when and where you say never again. You don't get to choose who that applies to.
I mean, what a collection of absolute and utter planks.
You don't get to choose when and where you say never again and she's literally choosing when and where she says that.
Yes.
She's picked the time and the place.
Yes.
And
in
says
the
you
most
can't choose it.
disrespectful way.
Exactly,
at Remembrance Sunday. Honestly, I'm quite proud. I don't know about you. That
of course.
Getting old because I'm not. I don't care what happens. I'm not going to apologise for so much in the past. I'm not doing it.
But
I'm
it's a
proud
mark
of this
of
country.
respect and gratitude. It's not warmongering. It's not encouraging fighting. It's respect and gratitude.
I took my son, who's 4, who's just joined the Cubs, the thing scores. I went to his first Remembrance Sunday, and they played they made the noise, and we were stood there. I was really proud of him. I was explaining to him what his granddad did. You read the names and you think. I was saying to him, these people died, right? That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Or we'd all be speaking German.
Yeah.
9.
Thank you.
No, not just 9 of us, I mean all of us.
All of us.
Yeah. Russell, over to you for the BBC.
Very good.
He liked that.
A welcome return to the BBC.
You discover the same ones every week, don't you?
Well, they're just Sadiq Khan, they're just so worthy, aren't they? But in particular, this new production, which aired just a few days ago, Wolf Hall, which is supposed to be a historically accurate depiction of Henry VIII and Thomas, whatever his name is, the...
Thomas of Becket.
Thomas Cromwell.
Oh, Thomas Cromwell.
His kind of advisor. But what the BBC, of course, true to form, have done is they've decided to inject some politics and a political message into this historical drama.
Is that why because he's ginger?
And so, what you say that, but we should be very surprised that Henry VIII is not being depicted by someone that is Chinese, Asian or black, because a large proportion of the cast now are black, Asian and mixed race actors, including Jane Seymour's mother. Now, how on earth, in a historical depiction that's supposed to have an element of accuracy to it, how can Jane Seymour's mother be mixed race when Jane Seymour is Caucasian?
I haven't got my DNA testing kit anymore, but I can tell you that that's not possible.
It's ridiculous.
The results are in.
So clearly what has happened here, the BBC have turned a drama that's supposed to be historically accurate in the way it depicts that history, they've turned it into something of a political statement, which most people, Daily Mail included, you won't be surprised to hear, have lambasted on the basis of it's just pathetic.
Isn't this the show that when the first series came out, nobody could hear it, and it was really dark?
2015, Series 1.
What?
Very good. Hey. You couldn't. Apparently, people were sort of whispering. It was a bit like what was that? The film about that was up in Edinburgh. You know. The Da Vinci Code.
Oh yes.
The Da Vinci Code. It was all shot in a sort of dark room with two people talking to each other really quietly.
But you won't be surprised
to hear. For hours.
I didn't like that.
You won't be surprised to hear that basically the only media element, the only channel that has lauded this as being, in their words, magnificent is The Guardian. Yes.
The Guardian.
The Guardian.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, The Guardian may make an appearance later. But we have a little clip for you. This is not from Wolf Hall, but this is from an earlier version of Anne Boleyn.
The charge is treason and adultery.
Tell this to my daughter. Let your fear drive you to be bigger, louder. Fly close to the sun. The sky itself will not limit you.
For a second there, I thought you teed it up saying, here's a clip from Anne Boleyn and you're going to play a little bit of The Cosby Show. That would have been funny.
That would have been funny. I was in the next scene. The Four Tops come in and do a
but some people are going to watch this saying, "Yeah, but so what?" Well, the thing.
Well, they did say that at the time, didn't they? They said, so what? Anybody can play Anne Boleyn. Well, not really.
Yeah, but the reason that this is silly is because it's clearly overreach. It's clearly something that the BBC are doing to make a political point, rather than it being historically accurate, which is why they are my nomination.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's a good one. I think it's time for another break, actually. Yeah, I've got to come back with Steve N. Allen's next one, which is about a toy company, which sounds a bit filthy. Also, The Guardian will be back with Maddie Hale. Even. Wolf Hall. It's Wolf Hall.
Maddie Hale.
It's Wolf Hall and Abby Hale.
The feminists and the Wolf Hall's back. You've been recast.
I'm getting out.
Oi, Maggie, come on.
All right, listen, Maggie, shut up. Coming back next on Plank of the Week, it's all happening.
Oh my God.
Welcome back to Plank of the Week. You can't say apparently. You can bleep that one out as well.
I love him.
Steve N. Allen, over to you.
I want to nominate Mattel, the toy company, because they've done a great thing. They've made a printing error on the boxes of their toys from the Wicked thing. And instead of having a link to the film's web address, it goes to a porn website.
That is hilarious.
To be fair, either way, if you click on it, you will be watching a video about a stepmother, but not necessarily in the same way. I don't remember.
It's not what I was expecting.
It's not a sex sex toy, though, right?
Well,
it's all there.
Everything is if you try hard enough. But so what they did here.
Oh, Maggie's excited all of a sudden. Have a look.
I think that wasn't excitement.
Really?
The advice from Mattel.
About it for a second.
The advice from Mattel, they've not really recalled it. They've said to the parents, "Oh, just try and cover it, or don't let your kids
Put
go."
a sticker on
Put a sticker over it.
or a plaster or something.
I think we got the news story here. Let's see what happens.
Look at the packaging. The website listed is wicked.com, which links to a pornographic website. It was supposed to show the film's official website, wickedmovie.com. Today, Mattel is apologizing, saying it deeply regrets the misprint and is taking immediate action to remedy this. Meanwhile, the dolls are being pulled from stores including Target, Walmart, Amazon, Kohl's, and Best Buy.
That looks to me like somebody's done that deliberately.
Well, I know.
It's too much of an
Here's what I think happened, and this is because people work from home. Right. Most of the tabs that you've got open are porn websites, and you copy and paste the wrong one. The next thing you know, you've sent people to wicked.com.
Theory.
Is that what everyone's doing at home?
This is I'm not saying what
there was a piece in the paper this week that said people that work from home sleep a lot more. Now we know why.
Yeah, they're exhausted.
They're exhausted. They've wore themselves out.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Hey.
That might be a marketing tool.
It might be
right.
That's insane.
It just seems a little bit.
What do you think, Maggie?
Too good to be
obviously
true.
the population is decreasing, and now we know why. Everyone's at home.
Playing with their toys.
Playing with their toys. Yeah.
Well, this week they'd have been bashing the bishop.
They would have been,
Welby, wouldn't they?
Well, we all have been. We all have been.
There.
Let's move on to The Guardian, shall we?
Okay, so I'm nominating The Guardian. I haven't nominated this one before because
they've made 1 or 2 appearances on Plank.
Yeah, but not by me. And I'm nominating them because they've come out and wrote this big spiel on their website about why they're no longer posting to X. And this post was honestly just the most sanctimonious, ridiculous thing to come out and say, hey, we're not posting on X anymore because we're really over the right-wing propaganda, the extremism, the racism that is found on X. We no longer want any of our stuff associated with that. Blah, blah, blah. It went on, and then and the end of it is like, we don't rely on viral content tailored to the whims of social media giants, algorithms. Instead, we're funded directly by our readers. You can support The Guardian today for just £1.
Yeah.
It's an advert.
Every single thing that they do ends with a begging letter at the end.
I know.
They say, please give us money.
Isn't this also the newspaper that when Trump won, they were offering counselling?
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Jesus.
It is incredible.
Doesn't this just go against everything that you're saying? If you want, X or anything to be, level-headed, we've got both sides of the political aisle, then continue posting.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
How do we think Elon Musk feels about this? I mean, I bet
he's
he's
probably
gutted.
like, I don't care.
I don't think he's that bothered, but I think I can reveal why they're really leaving X, right? It's nothing to do with the fact that they think it's now very toxic.
Is it because it doesn't have monetary?
No. Apparently their last tweet, which they put out on X, was a link to a story which talks about birdwatch, a close encounter with a flying rhino in Borneo. I think that might be the reason why they're not getting much engagement from their tweets. So it's no great loss,
The last link that I tweeted was for wicked.com because I copied and pasted from the wrong tab.
Well, of course.
It's a problem when you work from
It's easily done. I mean, when you're not paying, especially when you're on the move and you're just tweeting away, like Alistair Campbell tweeting the wrong name. Yeah. Here's what it said. We know there are downsides to removing ourselves from X, but we think that on balance it's the right course as the platform becomes ever more toxic.
So as a media organisation, surely they should be the first to understand the principle of freedom of speech.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And
both
not,
sides, as Maddie said.
Yeah.
And not insulting the intelligence of their 4 readers, or however many they've got.
But also going back again to what we said earlier, believing that there's a majority of people in this country that are going to swallow this rubbish, because they're not going to.
But the Guardian are doing the same as Rory Stewart, as on the basis that, everybody else is wrong.
Yeah.
But what do you mean coming out after Trump's won and saying we can't be on this platform anymore because it's right wing? It's like,
well, they also
this was happening before with both sides.
Exactly.
You were all.
Maddie, I think we can all
I love these people that say, Twitter's become so toxic. It's always been toxic.
No, but I think all of us here can
attest why we love it.
to the fact that there's loads of lefties on there that pile in on all of us, actually, and troll us left, right and centre. Definitely isn't just a right-wing platform, is it? There's loads of lefties on there.
Yeah, of course there are.
Be kind.
Well, there are, although there are more and more people leaving. There was a comedian, I think, this week who decided to leave. The tall guy from The In-Betweeners, can't remember his name.
Oh, yeah.
He left, and they always have to announce that they're leaving.
I know, I love
why don't you just leave? Why don't you just not bother? Why you have to go, by the way, I've decided a momentous decision has been made and I'm now leaving this platform. So you'll all be terribly deprived of what I do.
Have done. They haven't just clicked delete so the account goes. They've archived it.
They've archived it.
They'll come back to it.
Yes, and it also says something about boilerplates. I don't understand some of this talk. You might be able to explain what this is. They say accounts will be mothballed with boilerplate text added to profiles.
What's a
boilerplate? Standard saving
and a link to an explainer.
Yeah. Standard saving clause.
A boilerplate.
Do they write anything in English at The Guardian?
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
They do, but they spell it wrong.
It turns out they're following in the footsteps as well of National Public Radio, NPR in America.
Right.
They've already left. And PBS, the public broadcasting people, who are both lefties.
But I mean, I can... if you just came out and said, hey, this is a platform that we make no money off, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But The Guardian leaving X, I mean, literally nobody cares.
No.
I've been terribly upset.
I think X is just more for, like, the average person.
Yeah.
I'm going to get counselling from The Guardian.
You might need
counselling.
Yes, absolutely.
You're right, though. The lowest... the readership is ridiculous in The Guardian.
Yeah, but the argument is wrong, isn't it? Unless you're willing to be in a place and argue your point, then you don't get to complain about the fact you lost the argument.
Absolutely.
And also, why would you deprive any site, which is supposedly a news site, whether you like it or not, from having the benefit of reading your stuff?
Yeah.
It's like saying, we're going to publish all this stuff, but we're not going to show it to you. We're just going to keep it over here in a drawer.
But it's also just, like, proven the point of the election win. Which is you've just proven the point that you just can't understand how this many, whatever it was, like 75, 76 million people voted for Trump.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need to be a Trump fan to just accept there's a reason why people voted for him. You don't then take off...
It's called the economy.
It's just what happened.
It's also literally that argument of, instead of trying to work out what the Democrats did wrong, you're thinking, what did the electorate do wrong? Well, that's the attitude that stops people voting for
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, we could call it, it's a tantrum, is what it is, isn't it?
It
It's a Guardian tantrum.
It is. And they're very good at this sort of constant hissy fit that they're constantly doing. Right.
There's so many, the plural, of course, would be Tantra, which is
another
website.
Yes,
which
another word
Steve is on frequently.
You have been working...
You're always on the internet, Steve.
He's been working from home.
I barely leave the house.
It never goes out.
Coming hands clasped tightly together this afternoon.
Coming up, we're almost at the end of the show, believe it or not. I'm going to be coming up with some more BBC-related stuff, content. May have a boilerplate or two for you. I don't know. This is Plank of the Week. Now, I feel as though... Welcome back to Plank of the Week, by the way. I feel as though we should have the Match of the Day music playing. I don't know if we're allowed to use that music because it's probably copyrighted. But never mind. Because, of course... you can hum it if you want. It's not Match of the Day.
No, but you're about to announce the Gary Lineker's left.
It is. Yeah. BBC's highest paid presenter, it says here, because he was. You know, once Hugh Edwards left, there was nobody even close. Although I think one of
Zoe Ball gets
about $1 million, doesn't she? Why? By the way, that's another story. So Gary Lineker finally leaves Match of the Day after 25 years, after probably, 20-odd million pounds that he's taken out of the BBC's corporation. There he is. He had to do a show in his underpants, which they don't really look like underpants, those, because I think he said he would do it if Leicester won the Premier League, which of course they did many moons ago. And there's your mate Alan Shearer, who basically says that he's making so much money now from his podcast business, which includes political podcasts with people like Alistair Campbell and others.
Rory Stewart.
I think that one's called Why We Get Everything Wrong.
Yeah.
And basically, he's probably... he probably wanted to stay, but the BBC couldn't find enough money for him, basically, to sign a contract.
There's a new director of sport, isn't there?
There is a new director of sport.
Doesn't see eye to eye with Gary.
Yes.
The interesting thing about Lineker, I said this on the other show, I was with Shearer a couple of weeks ago, and the money that they're making now from podcasts is ludicrous, and that would be... But it's a bigger thing that Mike said as well. You know, He's been allowed to develop into this huge sort of problem for the BBC. They tried to crush him and the others went out on strike. Probably suits all sides, right? For Lineker. I actually am a big fan of Match of the Day because this is me being really genuine. There are millions of people still in this country that cannot afford anything more than terrestrial television. The Premier League shows those highlights on a Saturday night, and I think that's quite important. Lineker's just become the story, and he shouldn't be the story.
No.
You know, do you want to pay... because you'll be prosecuted if you don't, your licence fee to have him present Match of the Day, yeah, I'm fine with that. Do I want him to then use that platform to educate me or try and...
Yeah.
No, I don't.
And
I think
Jez,
it should have been dealt with before.
are fewer people going to watch it because he's going?
No, because the week that he was off and they played highlights, they got 600,000 more viewers.
Therefore, how can the BBC argue that he's value for money?
No, but now they've got an even bigger argument now, haven't they? Because they wanted to give the BBC, they wanted to do a job share between
they can't
Mark Chapman...
As you would expect, the BBC don't know what to do now, because now that they've got him out, they don't know who to give the job to.
Alex Scott?
Well, there's all sorts of names in the frame. Mark Chapman is the guy who's probably the favourite to get it. But they won't give it to him because they want him to job share with another woman.
Or is it because he's white, male, and middle class?
Well, it could be that, but they're basically trying to get around it because he's the best candidate for the job and he's not a woman and he's not from a minority.
If they can make Jane Seymour's mother black, then I think it's fine.
Make
we know what's happening when it comes to the next presenter of Match of the Day.
There's another woman called Kelly, can't remember her second name.
Cates?
Not Kelly Cates, no. Well, she's in the frame as well, actually.
She's a Sky. And do you know whose daughter she is?
She's Kenny Dalglish's daughter, isn't she?
We hang.
You guys
Kelly
are
Holmes?
friends?
Yeah. Kelly Holmes? No, I don't think so. It's wrong sport. Anyway,
the amount of money is a big issue, though. Like, the amount of money that they paid to Gary Lineker could have made about 4 or 5 other TV shows.
Yeah.
It's a time when it's very difficult to get anything commissioned because there's no money in it. And it was all going into one pair of trousers they didn't even wear.
You know, if you want to get a commission on most television stations nowadays, you literally have to go with a sponsor. There's no money. It's an absolute fact.
And it has to be diverse.
Yeah. And it has to be diverse. Well, let's have a look at his most embarrassing moment, which is from the World Cup, because he literally had diarrhea.
Like a dog with worms.
That is horrific.
Yeah, I mean...
Is that familiar, Jeff?
Is that what you had?
Is that what you had to do at home last week?
His wife won't let him sit on the carpet.
I did actually nearly follow through at one point last week, so there you are, yes. That's made you all feel a lot better.
Thanks very much for sharing that.
You lost quite a bit of weight, as you told us
now, let's have a look
away.
at what Ricky Gervais has said about Gary Lineker in the past.
I love illegal immigrants. Yeah, sue me now. Sometimes I go down to Dover for the day, right? And I look out, right? I stand by the traffic lights and I wait for a big lorry to pull up, right? And I look underneath and there's a lad sort of clutching like that. And I go, where you headed? And he goes, Gary Lineker's house. I go, it's just down there.
He's brilliant. Another part of that where he goes, he's looking out to sea and he sees the boats coming in and he goes, right, let's have the women and children first. He went, oh, just you lads, is it?
Yeah. And I saw him do something the other day where he went, he said, those women, you know, I really hate those women. You know, the old-fashioned ones that have vaginas.
Yeah, the ones that have a penis. Yeah, exactly right.
Have worms. What sort of women are they?
Yeah. Now, we come to the end of the show. However, there's a last-minute nomination which has come in at the very, very last minute, very unusually, and it's a very brazen attempt to try and skew the judging panel, I would say. Have a look at this.
I just tweeted the good news. He's finally confirmed. That's my tooth.
Kev's tooth has just come out.
It's fucking. He's finally confirmed.
I told Chuck, I thought that was a Tic Tac.
So my producer cannot see round the corner and he's looking at me and I've gone like that because I think he's dying, right? I think this is great for ratings. I'll be blamed for something else. Kevin O'Sullivan's died.
Can I just add, I was there and what was very, very notable was that Jez didn't kind of jump in and help poor Kevin. He just laughed at him and took the mickey out.
He looked straight at the camera.
Well, I think he was shocked. You could see the genuine shock.
I was like that.
He looked like he'd just been punched by a ghost.
I was the same.
Why? Sorry, why did it come out?
Well, because it's a long story.
And he plays with it with his tongue like
he's got a
I can do that and
he's
my
got a
tooth won't fall out.
replacement tooth, right? But he knocked it out because he fell over and hit his head.
Drunk.
Right?
Drunk.
He says he wasn't drunk, but anyway,
drunk.
He's getting it redone. So now this is a temporary sort of tooth.
But he went for a cheap option.
But he's got this doctor now who's building a massive house in Dubai.
Well, he's got a Rolls Royce saying Kev won.
Yeah, he keeps going back to this guy for this one tooth.
Guy's had $7,500 and still he's got a bleeding gap in the front of his mouth.
And it still comes out. So now it's time for me to pick the winner. I think there can only be one winner this week, can't there? I mean, in the end, Sadiq Khan gets it all the time. The BBC quite often get it. I mean, Gary Lineker we've had for quite a long time.
Keir Starmer's going to win it 5 or 6 times. Probably.
Keir Starmer. I think we've got to go with Justin Welby.
Yeah, I think so.
The Archbishop of Wokeby.
Yeah.
Who's no longer an Archbishop.
Not Kevin.
Well, we can't give it to Kevin, no.
He'd love it, wouldn't he?
He would love it. That's why we're not doing it.
That's why we're not doing it.
Can we give him an honorary second?
We could give him an honorary second.
Yeah, let's do it.
The toothless.
Justin Welby.
Toothless one.
Can I say it now?
Who is apparently now the Right Reverend Justin Welby.
Still a
Yeah, there you go. Beat that one if you like. Thank you very much indeed to Jeremy, to Russell, to Steve, and to Maddie. Thank you so much.
Thanks
what
for showing up.
Yeah, absolutely right. We will be back, of course, with more Plankery next week, same time. Don't miss it. Have a good weekend.